Ladies and gentlemen, it's here. It's Monday. It's the new time, the Pommy Kickback Show. And as always, we're joined by a special guest. So usually when we have a Carlton content creator on, I have to lie and pretend I watch their content. But this one, I'm telling the truth. So you've had Daz Talks Footy. He's my general AFL guy. But the Carlton guy is Navy Blue Corner Ian, a man that when we were 0-4, was still managing to find some positives, which stopped me trying to just go AWOL, go full Jimmy Hoffa during them wins. I've got the great man himself, Ian, who is high because his team have won a title in the last 24 hours.
Oh, Pommy, thanks for having me. It's been an unbelievable weekend, to be honest. I don't have much sleep going on, so we'll find out how coherent I will be throughout this. Thanks for the massive introduction. And yes, I mean, Carlton out of nowhere beating Geelong, seemingly like an okay football team, at least as a bare minimum right now. And then, yes, the 20-time title winners now, Liverpool. A very emotional morning. It's been a great day. It's just, I'm such an idiot for making sport such a big part of my personality, where I need my teams to win to feel joy. And for most of the time, I'm very depressed each week. But I tell you what, when they finally get it done, I've had the Eagles win the Super Bowl this year. Liverpool have won the title. If Carlton can somehow get it done, this would be the greatest season of my life. So fingers crossed we can get the 3 from 3.
Mate, it was good. You know what, as well, I've got to give, I gave Liverpool props last week when I took the piss about Liverpool. I'll give them props again. It is great because I do think Arne Slot, he makes it hard to dislike him. There is something very likable about Mr. Slot.
Oh, 100%. I mean, comes in after one of the greatest managers we've ever had. And in his first game, just starts slagging the players off and saying that wasn't good enough after a win. And you're going, okay, there's something about this guy. There's a little bit of aura about him. But no, very tough to back that up, and to win a title has just been unbelievable.
Mate, and Van Dijk and Salah signed within a week of each other.
It's been a stressful season. It's been so stressful. And the whole Trent debacle, that easily could have derailed a season. So it's been great to get it done. And I never give this team props, but if anyone follows the Prem and has seen what a couple of Everton fans got up to today, that is incredible. Basically, they bought a bunch of blue flares, repackaged them as red flares, sold them to a bunch of Liverpool fans, and then throughout our celebrations, there's just a couple of puffs of blue smoke here and there, and it's look, that's just great banter. I got to give them some credit there, because that's just the lead areas.
I've got to say, there's some symmetry with Carlton and Liverpool, right?
Yeah.
And hear me out, right? New coach, a barren spell, stars not signing contracts. Do we think TDK signs at the bye? Are Carlton gonna TDK Armo Salah? Is it the kick on?
Oh man, I hope so. It's funny. I was thinking when it was very much Sack Voss areas at the start of the season that maybe he was our Brendan Rodgers, but all of a sudden, we've gone through a couple of coaches that hasn't worked. We got close to prelim style, and then everything falls off, and then you get in the next guy, and all of a sudden you go on to win it. Right now things are looking okay, and Vossi's staying, so I have to throw those plans in the bin. But who knows? The symmetry's definitely there. Big club, a lot of history, and then just shit for so many years. So hopefully Liverpool have turned it around and are a good football team. Let's hope Carlton can do the same. Hey,
mate, if TDK signs, I'm just getting on the Blues winning a flag bandwagon. Legit. I'm going to be it's happening.
They've got to do the same photo shoot and everything. That's what we need. He's the king. Egyptian king. The king. It all makes sense.
Mate, it does make sense. Well, everyone, we've got a new and improved rating. So, Ian, what we do is we go through the games last week, and as you guys in chat know, we're only allowed to move them two teams as we talk about them. This is the most unique and perfect power rankings of all time, because it is literally game by game, week by week. it's a consistency. We start with I said last week this would be the game of the round because everyone knows Southampton versus Leicester in a Premier League week is the best game to watch because you know it's going to be a nail-biter. Melbourne getting the win. Chat and Ian, did you learn anything about Melbourne? Melbourne are a team like Carlton. They were horrible. They're suddenly grinding wins. Are Melbourne back?
To a degree, I'd say they're back. I mean, like, I'll be honest, I didn't have high hopes for them this season. So their back is still not top 8, in my opinion. They've got some stars, but I think there's a lot in between. Maybe you could say very similar to Carlton, where maybe the in-between isn't enough. But look, they've needed, like us, just grind wins, find a way to get it done. And Richmond clearly went to the game the week prior against Gold Coast. They were impressive. They just have so much run, dare, and excitement. When they have that energy, it can be tough because they're just these young kids that almost don't care, because if they lose, well, that's expected. There's no pressure. So they just run at you all day and kind of hope for the best. And so I think for Melbourne to just lock in and take the game away when they needed to shows that they're at least that step above Richmond and those bottom teams where for quite a while it was looking rough for Melbourne and Melbourne supporters, but I think they're at least above that bottom crop of teams right now.
Would you have them above St Kilda?
See, this is the thing. And I am anyone that has followed the podcast for a while knows that I've got a very anti-St Kilda component to me. So I'll always throw that bias out there because I know it exists. But I would have had them above St Kilda at the start of the year. And I think I still do. But it's very close between them. I have them kind of in that same area. I just believe that right now Melbourne's best players and most experienced players are just clearly that step above. Saints have got a really young, exciting core, but I don't know, there's just something about their midfield that I just really don't like. And at the end of the day, you need to win the ball in those hard moments. And I think Melbourne have at least got that if it starts to properly click like it has in the last couple of games. So yeah, I have them above. And I mean, the way you've got to do these power rankings, I'm not the smartest man when it comes to these numbers. So I'm going to find a way to completely stuff this up and end up not being able to get teams where I want them. But that's the exciting part about this. And so I'm very keen to start moving these guys around.
I'm trying to think. Part of me thinks Saints, you've got to give them credit. They have beaten some good teams. And Melbourne, 100%. No offense, have beaten like pretend teams. Like, are they better than Richmond? I think they're definitely better than Richmond, aren't they?
St Kilda?
No, Melbourne.
Oh, Melbourne, yes. I think they proved it clearly then on the weekend. So I definitely have them above them. Like, I would personally put them above St Kilda. And I get your point. It's like Melbourne they beat Freo, which I think was a good scalp. Away from home, it doesn't look as good. But like, I have them such an even spot at the moment. And I know Saints have beaten some teams, but their form has just dropped off massively. And they went from a team that people were saying smoky for finals to now, well, they've got to drop Jack Steele. They've got to drop some of the stars at the moment. So I don't know. I don't see a lot with St Kilda. I don't see who stops them in defense. I don't see who kicks goals for them. And now that their midfield looks a bit shaky, that worries me. Where at least Melbourne, I trust their defense. I trust their midfield. Forward line, maybe not there. But if you don't want to chuck them above the Saints, I'm a borderline call anyway. So I'm happy to keep them where they are in 14.
To be fair, we still got to talk about the Saints, and they were atrocious. So Saints might do a drop. Richmond, are Richmond better than Essendon?
Wow. This is tough. This is really tough. I do still think Essendon are better. I don't know why. And maybe some of Richmond's performances have been a bit more exciting, but I think Essendon just a classier. They're not a classy football team. They don't have a ridiculous amount of stars, but I think Essendon are better than Richmond right now.
Yeah, you see, I'm with you. I just feel Draper out.
It's hurt
Like
them big time.
they've
Him and
got
Brian
no
out, it's hurt.
players. Like I do think Tigers would win that game if they played tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I would have them above Richmond, but it'd be if I was on this for the next week, there's a good chance that Richmond then go above. Like it's a tight call at the moment, but I'd be backing in Essendon, to be honest. I thought they were thereabouts against the Pies for a little bit, and then it blew out. I think Richmond would get killed by Collingwood. I was very impressed with Essendon's ability to. I know we're not necessarily talking about Essendon as much in this space. They're the next game, but their ability to fight out of nowhere when that game should have been done in like the first or second quarter. I didn't expect that from Essendon at all. So that kind of excited me about their trajectory at the moment.
You know what? I'm inclined. We'll go on to the Essendon game. I do agree with you. I thought Essendon did put up a fight for 3 quarters. And Collingwood, we've got to talk about Collingwood. For me, me and Dylan did this last week. I was hot on the Pies, and I was like, I'm a Carlton fan, so I do hate Collingwood. But Collingwood just seemed to me at the minute to be the only team in the comp that can beat you in 6 different ways, no matter what you do. And it's still scary that their full strength team isn't quite there.
They're just so smart. They are one of the smartest football teams out there. And that's probably down to experience and their coaching staff. But they have so many different ways, like you say. And I think that's just because of how well their list has been built. Their midfield can go to work and beat you there. Their dynamic forward line can just take it away. And it's such a strange forward line. It'll be interesting with McStay out what kind of happens with them, but they've never really relied on those big key tools to get it done. They won a premiership really without that, and they can probably do it again because of just how good Jamie Elliott is on his day still. They've added Membry into this forward line, which is why you bring a guy like Membry in at the end of the season. When you don't have those key tools, get a guy that can play tall if you need him to, play small. You can guarantee him for 30 goals probably a season, particularly in that Collingwood lineup. They've just got so many guys that you can stop 3 or 4 of them. There's another 5 to stop. They just have so much depth throughout.
They are a grindy team, aren't they? And you know what? Essendon did impress me in this game because, you know what? As much as we hate both these sides, I'm not against Essendon as many other people. I actually think under Roses, they've recruited well. And I kind of blame a lot of their performances on Dodoro was very old school. And I feel like there's a lot of players there that if Roses was in charge for the last 3 years, it wouldn't be that bad. I really like what they're trying to do. I feel like Essendon will rise quicker than people give them credit for.
I weirdly agree, and I hate to say it because anyone that knows me knows Essendon, the team I dislike the most out of everyone, but most of my best mates are Essendon, so I end up weirdly having a bit of a soft spot for them as well, having going for Carlton. Both of our football teams have been rubbish for most of our years. As soon as we start to look good, it all falls apart. And yeah, Essendon at the moment, I agree. They've been in this weird limbo, honestly, for years and years, where it's, are they a finals team? Well, they're not bad. They're just middle of the road. And their recruiting has been, we'll bring in guys like Gresham. That'll make us better. We'll bring in guys like Mackay. We'll keep trying to bring in these middle of the range players expecting to be better. And they needed to go back to the draft, bring in some young guys with that higher ceiling, or bring in stars. And they kind of avoided doing that. And it's why they're in this weird position. I think they've got a really good midfield that, if they can get another couple of pieces in it, is exciting. Merritt's great. Caldwell, once he's back from injury, he does so much for them. I love Durham as well. Kako in that forward line with a few more years, Caddy as well. They've got some really exciting young pieces. I know Essendon supporters are talking about their back line with Zach Reed finally being healthy. They need to build on it clearly. And is Scott the actual man to get that done? I'm not sure, but you got to say his track record, at North with really poor talent has been good. I think he's at least someone that can steady them for a few seasons. But yeah, this was a massive test for them against the Pies. Could they get close? They did. The annoying part for them is that they weren't able to make it a scrap for the entire 4 quarters. But this is, I think this is just where they are. They're clearly better than, in my opinion, those, North, West Coast and Richmond. But are they better than anyone else above them? No.
Yeah, it's tough on this because I just feel like Melbourne's hard, isn't it, to judge? Because that midfield is amazing. Isn't it? Like on paper, Oliver, Petrarca, Viney gone. I feel, but like then I think their forwards, apart from Pickett, I think are rubbish.
Yeah.
And I think their backline is incredibly overrated by name. I think the last 2 years, Melbourne's backline, I don't think Stephen May scares you as he used to do. And I don't think Jake Lever does. I don't think forwards are scared like they were in 2023.
I agree. And I think the supporting cast around them just isn't really there. Like Salem isn't the player he kind of was. And they don't have a lot of run for me outside of that back line. And like you said, it's all those connecting players they don't have. And ever since Brayshaw unfortunately had to retire, they haven't fixed that position. I think they've been able to recruit a couple of really young, exciting players, but Langford and I've completely forgot Lindsay. That's just not enough right now. Like they need a lot more of that. I think they really should have traded Oliver and just kept Petrarca and tried to get a couple of first round picks, dive into a really deep draft and do as much as you can. It's going to be interesting to see where they build from here because a lot of their stars are aging and I don't know how you get out of that without completely dropping away. But yeah, I think how a lot of that bottom of your power rankings is sitting right now is kind of what I like.
It's a tough one. Chat and Ian, are we willing to ignore the injuries of Essendon? Because Essendon probably, pound for pound, if we're honest, are better than Melbourne. If we did it, we stopped the season now and we said who looks closer to the flag. I think Essendon would be closer to the flag based on where we are now.
Yeah.
On actual
I think
facts,
they're close to the flag. I'd say that. I'm happy for you to chuck them above.
Yeah, Melbourne. Enjoy.
They got Nate Caddy, so that's enough to get me over the line.
Yeah. Well, this is the game here. Mike, my mate, is in chat. Everyone knows this year, as the massive Carlton fan I am, Adelaide have been the team I have been riding during my slumps, and they were incredibly disappointing versus the team I dubbed Fraudmantle last week. They got the job done. This was as bad as Adelaide could have played. This was as bad as they could have played. They had a late tail wag at the end, but this is interesting because it's harsh, this. I didn't think Fremantle were that impressive.
Both teams are so hard to pick where they are right now. I felt that going into the season. I have less answers this many games in. I mean, Adelaide looked so exciting with how they moved the football. Their scoring was great. The question mark was, wow, they're letting a lot in the other way for as good as these performances have been. And then all of a sudden, a few losses, and they don't look like the same team that they were. Clearly, it's such a long season to go. It's hard to drop them too far down, I think, from kind of where you've got them. But yeah, Freo, I don't know if they're good either. They needed to, back it up after kind of losing to Melbourne, and they went and did that. But again, it's at home. Like, they're not traveling well, getting those scalps. They should be so much better, I think, Fremantle. Their midfield's really exciting. Their forward line's got so many pieces. I don't think their backline's amazing, but this many years with that same coach, they should be pushing for top 4.
You know the question I've got you in chat is I've watched Adelaide, right? And I'm still quite bullish on them. Like, I think What I've seen the last 2 weeks is it feels like they're trying to sharpen up their backline movement and they're sacrificing a little bit to try and get it right. And I think Fogarty, I said it during the watch along, I think he's so integral to what they are. Do you know what I mean? What they are as well really helps that three-pronged attack. My concerns when I watch this game, and I've said it about Fremantle, are we seeing the death of the big ruckman? Because when I watch Darcy for Fremantle, it just doesn't make sense. And then when I watch Riley O'Brien for Adelaide, it makes no sense either. Like, it just feels like if you stuck TDK in both of them teams, I reckon we would be having a total different conversation. Like, I was saying to a mate of mine who's an Adelaide fan, if you put TDK in that midfield at Adelaide, you're kicking 120 points with a guy that makes Mark Pitternet look athletic. You'd probably kick 200.
Oh, Adelaide used the ball so well by foot, and it's just getting that first use. They've got such a strong midfield. But I agree. I don't know why they've kind of kept O'Brien. It's been a massive thing. I know Adelaide supporters for the last 4 years have been saying we need a different ruckman. We need someone else coming through. They've kind of failed to address it for a while, and they've recruited really well. They've been bringing these other guys in and kind of turning them into stars, which has just been phenomenal. It's been a bit of a slower build, I think, than they would have liked at this stage. And they've still got Tex down forward who's just leading the troops and still playing some amazing football. But I agree. If they had a star ruckman or at least a more mobile mover, because when you've already got three in your forward line that you're trying to play with, you need a more dynamic midfield and just another slow, meandering big boy. It doesn't help you, I think. And to go on to Freo, I never understood why when they got Jackson, they kept Darcy. It didn't make sense to me then. It doesn't make sense to me now. Darcy's always injured. It's just, is he that good when he is fit? Like, does he really win Freo games of footy? I don't understand it.
You know what? This is tough, but I'm going to propose this. Just see what this looks like, because we've still got to talk about these teams, so it can change, right? But I'm suggesting we do this. Move Freo into the 8. Fremantle beat Adelaide. We'll move Adelaide 8th.
Yeah.
That rises the Dogs up. GWS don't change. Hawks don't change. And,
I like it.
And then we come on to another game. Does that look right to you, chat? And does that look right to you, Ian?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think as soon as you beat someone, it's hard to say they're not above them to a degree when you're in that kind of middle point. Adelaide, I'm definitely agree with you. I'm bullish. I think they can rise. We probably just went a little bit too early on them without getting enough evidence. We got a little bit too excited, but I'd say their ceiling is a little bit high. I don't trust Freo. I feel like the 6 and 7 is where they sit, whereas Adelaide, I think, can rise if it all goes well. So I like where you've got it.
Yeah, you know what's tough as well is I can't really say too much because I don't want to fire Adelaide up. So, you know what? I still love you, Adelaide. Just remember that this weekend. I still do. But then we come on to the game last week where me and Dylan had our fallout. It was between where we had Brisbane, and I was very bullish on Brisbane and very against GWS frauds, as we call them on this show. But Brisbane got the chocolates against Saints. And you know what? This is a weird game. This is one of them games where I felt 45 points flattered St Kilda, because throughout the game, this felt like it should have been 100 points.
It certainly did. Brisbane, I mean, look, I've had them pretty much sort of the number one seed all season. I personally would have had them above the Pies just out of a trust feeling. And I know it's tough because I think Collingwood have done everything right and on form, and maybe that's why power rankings, they should sit number one. But I think as that kind of reigning premier, you need a lot to usurp you out of that spot. And while Brisbane haven't been perfect, I think they've still been good enough. And yeah, I was expecting a bit more out of St Kilda. I thought they would have a bit more of a reaction after some poor form. Didn't really see it at all. Brisbane just mauled them everywhere, and that's what Brisbane do. They're strong every single line. Every single one of their players steps up. And yeah, I think the scoreline definitely flattered the Saints.
I don't always say this, but I've got 2 complaints about St Kilda, right? One, I'll give them full credit. They beat Geelong, but I said it the week they beat Geelong. There is some teams in the comp you always beat, and you can't understand why. They always beat Geelong. Don't read into it, because for some reason I am pretty sure St Kilda could play Sandringham and they would beat Geelong. It makes no sense why Geelong can't beat them. But then Port Adelaide, when they beat them, Port were just, I don't even know if they were a football team. And then they beat up on Richmond, who were like, let's be fair, they bullied them. But when I look at Ross's team selections, I have a little bit of Fremantle in his last year. It feels like he's putting faith in the same players week in, week out. And I've just got a bit of a concern there. I think they've got so many young players there that are desperate for the injection. It feels like he's still banking on the same names.
I've got a weird list makeup, really. And it makes sense with Sauce being there, why it is how it is. I'll happily throw that kind of drive-by to him. But yeah, like they've got so much exciting youth that they haven't seemed to really want to play. And I get it. At the start of the season, when you're playing some good football, things are flying, keep it together. Keep these guys going. But there's been quite a few of their more experienced players that haven't really performed for a couple of seasons, and they're still just keeping them in there when there's guys banging down the door, at least deserving of an opportunity. They're another where they're in that weird spot where they're not at the bottom. They're not a top 8 team. How are you developing your list to make sure that you don't drop away, that you do take that step and become that finals team over the next 10 years? They have been drafting well. They have been bringing in that young talent, but it feels like at the moment and over these last few years of St Kilda, they're kind of just the players, they get exciting and you get excited about them. They build up to a certain point and then they never go above that cap. It's like they get halfway to their development and then you just, oh, that guy was meant to be a gun, but he just sort of wasted away. Don't get why they want TDK. And I'm a biased Carlton fan, but I've got Rowan Marshall right there. Like if you wanted to get rid of Marshall, beautiful, makes sense. I don't love the idea of both of them and King, because I don't think De Koning or Marshall are a good forward. But talking about them now, they don't really move anywhere for me, the Saints.
Yeah, I'm trying to debate, do I trust Essendon more than them? Because I feel like Essendon have shown me they've got more than one gear. My issue with the Saints, and I've always been a big advocate of them because I think their list is good. It needs stars, but I think they've got really good, solid B graders that if you put 4 good players in, it would work. It's just how I've seen them the last 4 games. I just feel it's the same. And I love Chris Scott this week where he said that he doesn't believe in skill errors from players. He puts it on himself with their system. And all I ever hear, do you know what I mean? All I ever hear from Ross is blaming individuals, not him saying maybe the system should be a little bit more exuberant. So I agree with you. I feel like this might be one of the rare cases where both of these teams, I can't move them. I can't move Brisbane above Collingwood. And
yes, I can, but I'm happy for you not to. I think Essendon, like the things I always look for when I'm putting a team side by side is just scoring. And no one in that forward line for the Saints. I go, where are their goals coming from? Essendon, I can see it. They got 2 meter. They got Caddy that can do it. Kako's an exciting little player around there. Saints, I'm just looking at their forward line and I just don't like it. And so I think I'd have them just above right now. And maybe, you know, Filippo comes back in and is that kind of half forward, it can float and that adds a little bit more dynamism to them. But yeah, I think, probably Essendon just the slight edge.
You know what? I agree with Ethnic. And I feel like Saints are in the same boat as well. Like, they almost do the same things every year, expecting a new result, and then act shocked that recruiting it. Because, like, I was joking on the live with Saints. The most Saints thing to do this year would be throw big money at Jamara Ugo-Hagan. It would be the most Saints thing that they would believe they could make everything happy and they'll parade him as the steal of the year, like they did with Dan Hanbury and stuff like that. And then it absolutely implodes and everyone's like, we told you he was shit.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, I'll leave them as they are because I agree with Matt. I think 13th to 18th is how I see it. And one of them teams is featured Port Adelaide versus North. This game here, I hate Port Adelaide. It's no secret because they are the team that F's your multi every week because they could be brilliant and they could be the worst. I see a lot of Carlton in Port. Their best is the best in the league. Their worst is somewhere in VFL. Yeah,
who did Vossi learn from, Pommy?
It's fascinating. But I watched this game and I genuinely think if North Melbourne had a bit of maturity, they would have won this game.
Yeah, but it didn't feel like it was the kids that were stuffing it up for them. Weirdly. It was the experienced players that in those key moments let them down. I was watching that game very much cheering on North, thinking this would be unbelievable. And yeah, Port, they've been very up and down. I mean, it's such an interesting situation with their coach. I just don't know how that works. Going into a season when you know that coach isn't going to be there, like unless if it starts and you're sort of like 3-4-0, then you just ride that wave. If it starts to get shaky at any stage, like why would the players really give a shit? I don't. If you've already moved on from a coach and you're saying someone else is the guy, just make him the guy. I always think that sends a weird message, and it makes it a narrative. It makes it a tough story in the locker room. That might be playing some degree. There's enough guns at Port to be demolishing a team like North Melbourne, particularly at home, for them not to get it done in that great fashion. 9 points in the end. Yeah. Weirdly, I don't have them moving a spot here because of what I think of Sydney right now. But, gee, they're not moving up anytime soon, Port Adelaide. They have to do a lot.
Port are kind of like Melbourne to me. That, like, I couldn't ID. If you held a gun to my head and said, name this dude in the back line at Port, I wouldn't have a fucking clue who they are. Like, it's kind of like you look at the midfield and I'm like, Butters, yes. Rosie, yes. Getting really, Jason Horn, yes. And then it's like, oh, yeah, we've got this dude from Geelong at fullback, Asava Ratikalia. And I'm like,
how he gets a game, I don't understand. How, if he was starting at Carlton, like, no injuries, I would be so concerned about what we're doing. He's been doing it for years now, and they haven't moved past him. Like, he's a perfect squad player. He shouldn't be your go-to each week. And that kind of says where they're at. Their key defenders have never been great, and they have refused to acknowledge it. And I think that's why they've never gone above where they are, even when things have functioned well in their forward half. I just don't think their defense is much chop.
Like when everyone always says to me, Port have done really well because they always finish top 4 on the ladder. My next reply is like, well, have they won a flag? And like, to me, it's like having a 12-inch willy, but you can't maintain an erection. Like, I'd rather be like Geelong. Have a 6-inch willy, but win it.
Look, great analogy. I can't add too much to that one, Pommy, but no, I completely agree with everything you've just said.
It wouldn't be a show without a willy analogy. Yeah, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think we can move these two melts, to be fair. No. But North, fair play to them. And I agree with you. It's what I said last week, because Dylan's a massive North fan. And I said to him, I actually think the worst players on his list are the old guys. Like it seems weird when I'm seeing like a 19-year-old show leadership. I talked about the Carlton game, and I was like, Luke Parker pissed me off in that game because he felt like he was on like a farewell tour when they brought him in to be the physicality, but it felt like he was having the time of his life hanging out the back waiting for a goal.
he was meant to be the thing that I think as Carlton supporters, we're always saying throughout this time, and maybe you could still argue to the point, where's our winner? Where's the guy that has been at that successful football club, knows how to get things done? And maybe, with Sydney in their last few finals, maybe that's part of the problem with them. But he's meant to be that experienced head that they can turn to. And it feels like he's doing the complete opposite as far as output is concerned for them. I've been so bullish on North the last few seasons, thinking they were going to rise, not into the top 8, but start to be that team. I like a lot of their list. Clearly list holes, key defense, and I think that second goal scorer in that forward line with some height to help Larky. But I think the biggest thing if you're a North Melbourne supporter this week is after that horrific performance against Carlton, you go into a game thinking, oh, we're probably not going to see a response. Like, I don't expect, as a Carlton supporter, it's happened countless times. We have a bad loss and I want a response, but I never see it. For North to come out with that ferocity and fight, I think goes a long way. And if they play like that every single week, they're going to win games of football. They're going to be a lot better than that. I think they can start to, be above Melbourne and maybe start to push the Essendon and St Kildas. I believe their list should be around that area. They just kind of haven't been able to get it done. And evidently until they do, those question marks on why are just going to stay there.
Mate, I agree. It's going to be I think they needed to get out of the state. I actually think an interstate game was what they needed. Like, get away from the noise. I mean, I'm with Gavin here. I'm still a bit like Gold Coast. I don't believe there is North Melbourne fans. I think Marnie has just got some mates just to say kangaroo, roo, roo. Like, it's a complete fugazi, and she gets me to help her on her show just for herself. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm with you. I mean, the next game I can't wait to talk about. Go Greaton Western Frauds. On show 1, when they beat Collingwood, I said it was fraudulent. Collingwood are still better than them. They laughed. I said it round 1, round 2. But now you're starting to believe me. They are a one-trick pony that can slingshot. But you ask them a question, they're as soft as butter. The biggest fraud. Honestly, this is massive fraud. Massive fraud. I haven't heard a conspiracy theory that GWS are so good since I read about lizard people. Like, honestly. And they got battered by the Doggies at home by 32. Talk to me, Ian. GWS frauds.
Oh, yeah, look, I have to put my clown makeup on because I had them for the flag this year, Pommy. It should have been Brisbane. That was the obvious choice. But as a content creator, you can't just sometimes say the obvious thing. You have to do something else. So I was looking through the lists of what I liked. I liked Kingsley as a coach. I was looking at their forward line, saying that's tasty. They've got some tools. They've got some exciting smalls through there. Midfield, it's full of stars, Pommy. Backline, they've got those tall players. They've got some rebound to them. Everything feels like it's there. Maybe this is the year they can finally get it done. And then you see the final product, and it's just not there. And I can't put my finger on what it is with them because I see so much good in every aspect of their list. I think it's versatile. I think they can, like you say, they're meant to be this slingshot team. They've got that, but it feels like they've got the pieces to play other styles and win that contest when they need to be able to defend as a unit. Doggies look like the real deal and kind of proved that they are the team we thought the Giants were. And yeah, I don't know what to do with the Giants right now. They're definitely moving down quite a fair bit on these power rankings, but what do you see as going wrong with the Giants? Because you've been on the fraud watch for a while, so I feel like you've maybe got the answers.
Yeah, well, I just think they can only win sexy. And I remember making the big call when Jake tried to fill me full of nonsense because they beat Saints and he was like, they're the best team in the comp. And I was like, mate, they won't score more than 40 against Adelaide. And they didn't, right? I think if you make it tough, you slow them down. I saw it against Hawthorn. I think Hawthorn were too smart for them in that game. They literally worked them out very quickly. And I think good sides are quite capable of keeping it slow, making them slow. They like the ball moving. Like, in my opinion, I think they're below Adelaide because Adelaide have beaten them already.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd probably have them slightly above, but that's my GWS Pro bias there. Oh, but yeah, it's so strange. And I agree with you that like the midfield and the pieces around it, like I hate to say it, but guys like Josh Kelly, guys like, Cornelio around this, they're just not, I think, what they need. They need more Tom Greens, and they don't have that in their midfield. And maybe that's what's struggling when the contested pressure's there. They've got a guy like Finn Callahan, who's an absolute star, but he's more of that, let me get it on the outside and I'll run through you. Whereas he's not, I'll win the football. And I think some of their great link players, can you say like downhill skiers a little bit? Like when it's on their terms and they're running and they're moving, it's great. But are they that defensive buy-in? I'm not convinced. And I think the worst thing that they possibly could have done, and maybe for this, I'll put them below Adelaide. Recruiting Jake Stringer and having him in your team, put him 18th. Seriously. What are you doing there? Disaster.
Honestly, to Gavin's point, I'd rather play in my ex-girlfriend's bedroom than play in Canberra. This is tough. I'm proposing with the Bont back, we put the Dogs here.
Yep, I've got him in 4th.
Right.
The fact that we haven't spoken about how good the Dogs are. The fact that they played so good with a dead player, without their 2 best midfielders and arguably their best key forward. If for us, we'll talk about Carlton because we're Carlton supporters. We've been bad with a full strength team pretty much. You take Charlie Curnow out, you take Paddy Cripps and Sammy Walsh out of the team. I wouldn't have imagined us to do anything like the Dogs did. Now all of a sudden the Bont's back, and I know they've lost Sam Darcy. Jamara, who knows where he is and what he's going to do. He won't be coming back anytime ever. The fact that they can still score, they're finding different ways to do it. Bevo's doing Bevo things, but it's working. And I am so bullish on the Dogs because they're that team on paper that don't excite you. They've got all these names. You're going, who's that? Who's that guy? And then you come up and play against them and they dominate against you. And you really start to realize who all these little role players are. They are just that underdog kind of thing that Bevo loves. And he always finds a way to make those little nuggety players that probably shouldn't be on anyone's list into just these hardworking role players that somehow hurt you.
Mate, I think you've nailed it. I think you've nailed it. Like, and the fact that they've got Treloar to come back as well.
Yeah.
And their midfield is already dominating. Then they've added Bont to it and it's now proper. Like, does scare me because the fact that they get Darcy back July as well. Like, that's the kind of player you want back.
They're quick. They've got a good system. They've got a good coach. They've got tools where you kind of need them. They've absolutely lucked into throwing Rory Lobb down in defense, and he looks so solid down there. Finally, they play, Jed Bustlinger, and he looks great already. I was so high on him in his draft class. Needed to put on some size, was going to take some time before he was ready. Comes in and looks good already. I mean, they're just... Jordan Croft is another one that they can just let develop in the twos and eventually throw him into their forward line. They are scary because no one talks about them. No one really follows what they're doing. And I think they're showing everyone right now that we can't be underrating the Doggies.
Mate, I'm with you. I think they're phenomenal. And I think when you think Treloar and Darcy are about to come back at the same time, that July period, which we know is so big for running to finals, like, they might be a smoky. If they're like top 4 by the bye, could be a problem.
Yeah, Bont's going to be wanting a flag big time. He's got a lot that he wants to get done, so it's a scary prospect. They've got a lot of players that almost really want to prove things. And yeah, Kennedy with them slotting into their midfield hurts to see, but love it for him. Such a good fella, and he just keeps kicking goals and doing what he needs to.
Mate, and then we talk about Gold Coast get a big win against Sydney. And the great thing about Gold Coast is I feel like they're GWS with a hard edge. They are proving they can play ugly and sexy. I was so impressed by Gold Coast in this game. I thought they were another level. They genuinely, I don't think, get enough affection and love at the minute. I think they're a real serious threat.
I was high on Gold Coast this season, as I have most seasons, and it hasn't gone well for me previously. And it's just that one loss, really, to Richmond that looks so bad. They win that, and they're probably fighting with the Dogs for that 4th spot here. That loss drags them down a little bit. I honestly would have them in 6th. Now, I know Sydney aren't amazing, and yes, you can still question the Suns' ability to win anywhere that isn't at home to a degree, but I just love their list so much, and they've got that hard edge, like you mentioned. Their midfield is scary to come up against. Their forward line has different ways to hurt you. Ben Long is playing some unbelievable football right now. If he was in Collingwood's team, I think he'd be spoken about every single week at like, wow, look at this guy. No one expected him to have this kind of season. And he just does it each and every week. I don't know why no one talks about Ben Long at all. I've not heard any praise for him, but he's been a big reason, just his work rate and adding that other dimension to their forward liners. They've clearly got the tools, but they need that other avenue. And I think he just stretches defenses so well. I really like what Gold Coast are building and needed a response. I think they got it when they were challenged.
I agree. I mean, this is an interesting one because, like, Sydney, I can't put Sydney 13th. I feel like Sydney are better than all them bottom 6.
Yeah, I got them 12th. I have them dropping down 1 from where they are.
I feel like
so
Carlton. I feel like Carlton would beat them, but Suns, I feel like there's some. I know this sounds mental. I feel like we haven't talked about them yet, so it could change. But I think if we can't talk about Hawks until the end, I feel like the Hawks are above Freo somewhere with Hawks.
I need more evidence. I think the way I do my power rankings in my head anyway is I still go off what I've seen in previous years as well as my evidence of you having to usurp someone. And Hawthorn have so many more runs on the board as far as me being able to trust that they're that higher team that can get out of, responding to a couple of losses, responding to some injuries. I back them in. Gold Coast have been so frauds for the last few years, Pommy. And so I think I need a little bit more evidence before I can say they're above the Hawks this week. But the Hawks didn't, when we get to that, they didn't press me at all against West Coast. So who knows in a couple of weeks. But I think Gold Coast just need that big win against that big team. And if they beat Brisbane, now we're talking.
You see, I agree with Shane here. Like, you've also got to take into account, even though they're doing well with a game in hand, they have beaten banter sides. I'll say this. Because the Richmond one, I'll forgive them. The same reason that I didn't toss off Saints. They always beat Geelong. Gold Coast always lose winnable games in Melbourne.
Dimmer hates Melbourne.
So I kind of give them an out. But yeah, I still, if they do that, I'm with you. If they do that say if they do that in a couple of weeks against one of the top 4 sides, I'll jump on them. But I agree with some people in the chat here, like Gav. I can see them playing Brisbane and Brisbane winning like ridiculous I can see a world they win by 60 Richmond. Yeah. I mean Brisbane, and we're suddenly like.
It's where I sort of see Gold Coast at the moment. They're literally anywhere from 4th to 10th. That's kind of where they've been the last few years, and they just have to be more consistent. And the one thing I will say about Gold Coast that needs to be mentioned and talked about more in the public space is, one, their home jumper is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It's a red shirt. What are they doing? They absolutely made a meal of it and somehow fell into the greatest AFL jumper that has ever been created. the pink jumper that they have. It is beautiful. Had more merch sales in about 48 hours than their home top in like 4 years. Why is this not their home jumper? Like, just rebrand mid-season. Here, I'll give you the marketing spiel for your rebrand. Matty Rowell, he's doing his washing. Oh no, the Gold Coast red shirt has gone in with the whites. They're all pink. Oh, I've got an idea. Here's the Suns top. There you go. Who gives a shit? You've got no history. You've got no real culture behind the red. No one really cares. You can make your team any color and people will get on board. Go the pink, please. It's so good. The reverse of that, the charcoal with a pink, that would look so majestic. Get it happening. It works for Inter Miami. It's getting the kids on board there. That's the way you build fans.
Mate, to be honest, I refuse. I had a Gold Coast. I actually found a Suns fan the other day when we did their live. They were complaining
that
I
Mabby
changed
or
that.
Chol badge I bought as a joke and a scarf somewhere for Gold Coast.
Yeah, well, they went mental with me because I changed their logo to a yellow on the red background because I refused to use their logo that you see on the screen now for watch along purposes because it looks shite. So I've changed it yellow.
Cool. The idea is cool. Like, I get it. And in photos, great. Did no one ever go, yeah, but what if I stand like 2 meters away?
Genuinely, that kit looks horrible. It looks horrible. I'm with you. Gold Coast, sort your kit out. Sort your kit out. But then we come on to the mighty Blues. They got the job done. They came down to the G. They played the Cats. And they played some scintillating pressure football. 3 wins in a row. Confidence high. Adelaide, a trip to a place that they traditionally don't like going to, Adelaide. And Geelong, they concerned me in this game because I thought it was very easy for the Blues to take away their ball movement. And I think the teams like Brisbane, Pies, Dogs will watch that game and go, okay, you make them accountable. They struggle.
Oh, 100%. And I bash, I've been very critical of Michael Voss and his coaching throughout his tenure. And that goes down to the question of how many times have you gone away from a Carlton win and said, wow, we outcoached the opposition? We have done it twice, I reckon, in his entire time at Carlton. Last 2 times we've played Geelong. It was pretty much very similar, I think, in the way we beat them. It was control the football and work rate to create options. I was very impressed with Carlton doing something different than what we've seen quite a lot. We were able to win it in the contest, great, but we were scoring from the back half. We were able to find those options, working for each other. Again, I was trying not to overreact to this game if we lost, so I'm not going to overreact from a win. It's great. It shows that we're at least not complete garbage like we were all very worried we were going to be. This next run, we'll see whether we are that finals kind of team. Until we do it, I've only got us moving up 1 space. I have us above Port. We're so hard to trust right now, Pommy. That is the big concern. If we beat Adelaide, if we can start to chip off the other teams that we're coming up against that we should be beating, St Kilda, Sydney away, then all of a sudden we've got a conversation. But I don't know. It's very difficult when the only teams we've beaten are North, West Coast, and then Geelong. It feels odd to know where to rate us just yet.
I think you make fair points. I mean, it's something that I've been talking about a lot in the 6-week blog. That like Dan Hoyne came out with all them stats about stopping ball movement and defensive rigidness. I felt like, do you know what I mean? I felt like that was flawed because of how poor our attack endeavour is. So we always have numbers behind the ball. This week, I'm with you. I've given Voss full plaudits. He's playing players to their strength. And the manic pressure is what we've been wanting. It's tough, this one, because I kind of want to put us in the 8, But I also agree with you that I think maybe aside from GWS, because I genuinely think GWS are the most Mickey Mouse team, and that's not me taking the piss. I just think if you've got the personnel, you can beat GWS. You need the personnel. I genuinely believe that if Carlton played GWS at the G, they could unlock the key. Like, I know that sounds crazy because I know we've lost to some rubbish teams, but I think on paper we have the structure to slow them down like we did Geelong, but also pressure them. But I also agree, GWS are... It would be hard for me to do this when I've seen Adelaide beat some wonderful sides, Fremantle, GWS.
Yeah, and to credit us, I mean, I said before this run, if we managed to get 3 wins, but those wins were St Kilda, Sydney away with their poor form, and GWS at home, you'd be happy, obviously, but you'd still have that thing of, are we actually good? Like, can we beat those higher teams? To start off that run with a big win against Geelong, challenged, and we did panic for quite some time, but eventually we've kind of realized, okay, we don't need to score this second. We can just grind it out contest to contest and figure this out. There's still a lot of concerns with Carlton. They need to do this for a lot longer. Never been consistent, and that's a big issue with us. So, yeah, I can't put us any higher right now. Beat Adelaide, then, yeah, okay, let's go above GWS. Maybe you could say we're above Adelaide, but, yeah, a lot of work from where we started this season. But the credit to us for winning a game no one expected us to.
Yeah, I feel like we're 1 over par at the minute because I had us in pre-season 2-2, round 4. The wins were coming against Richmond and Dogs, and that was like my conservative.
Yeah.
That was like my conservative approach. So I figured that the club owe me 2 wins that I questioned. Geelong, I questioned could we beat them, so we get the birdie. I penciled in a loss against Adelaide. So if they win that, back on track. But my preseason predictions were 6-12. So I feel like that. But yeah, it's hard. Geelong, can I move Geelong down? Like, I'm trying to think.
I don't think you can, Pommy. I think last week beating Hawthorn, who were the team everyone has been loving so much, and they just got the job done. They proved, okay, we're better. Let's go. They've had 1 loss. I'm not concerned with Geelong. I understand this new narrative now, and the stats do show, hey, take the ball away from Geelong, and they struggle. And there's still a lot of areas with Geelong I'm not convinced. I think they are clearly good enough to be a contender, but I don't see them being that premiership team this year. I think they've got a lot to prove, but I give them a week. I'll give them a loss. I think Dogs need a bit more to usurp them, and Geelong need to have worse form. I don't know. It's 1 loss against a very hungry Carlton team.
Yeah, I'm with you. Answer some of the people in the comments. Did see Chris Scott's presser. I didn't mind it, right? To be honest. And this is my response to this. If he gave us loads of tossing off, it didn't make the game any better for me because we still were impressive. I think people have missed the best bit of his presser. His whole talk about it's not the players, it's him, his structure. But genuinely, we complain about everything in press conferences. I don't want him. I wouldn't like it. I'll be honest. I wouldn't like it if Voss came out and said, they just outplayed us. I'd want him to say, what can you control? And I thought he did admit what he could control. They couldn't find a way structurally to outsmart us. And I like that because I would have been pissed off if I was a Geelong fan and he came out and goes, oh, Carlton just were better than us. I'd be like, okay.
You'd be like, why? They shouldn't be. You know, those would be the things you'd be saying. And I'll be honest, Pommy, as a Carlton supporter, I love seeing the opposition coach who give us no credit because it's like, I know you know deep down that we outplayed you here, and you not giving us credit makes me happier. I don't know if I'm just the sick in the head, and that's just how I'm wired, but I'm going, oh, it hurts you to say it so much that you're lying, and we all know you are. And that just gets me up and about more than if he had shown us that respect. But I mean, yeah, like you're saying, he owes no one anything in us saying we played better. His press conference goes out to the Geelong fans, not the Carlton fans. He's addressing them.
I've got to say, from my coaching experience, right, in a different game, I would hate to hear anyone I coach bestow way too much credit on someone else. I'd want to hear them be quite arrogant about what they do. So I don't see it as disrespectful. Like, to me, like, do you know what I mean? I think Chris Scott is just a born winner, and I don't think you hear him give anyone else kudos. So
I think you take that positively. Yeah.
I actually take it as a compliment that he doesn't pay us respect because I feel like he's threatened. So if I was coaching Carlton, I'd say this is what you've done to him. He can't bring himself to say it. So he's taken the responsibility for what you did. So I actually see it a bit different. Do you know what I mean?
And I take it in the way as if he's come out and said that's the worst he's ever seen, then I'm going, well, good credit to us. We made them the worst. And he doesn't have to say that for me to get that validation. I'm excited that he's able to label that performance the worst he's seen, which in my eyes, I go, well, I thought we played pretty well and we controlled 90% of that game. Therefore, we've inflicted the damage and forced them to play bad footy.
Yeah, you know what? As a player, if I was a Geelong player, I would have taken it this way. Oh, fuck, Carlton were hard. They made it hard for me. And then when I heard my boss say, no, you weren't good enough.
Yeah,
I wasn't good enough. That would actually inspire me. But like, I've been lucky to work with some great leaders in the industry. So like, but that's how they would speak. They would throw it back on me, so I didn't feel helpless. So
he knows the
genuinely, I didn't mind
levers to pull. Yeah, no, he knows those levers to pull with his squad and how to get them. And him being disappointed and annoyed, that's the fire for them. You don't want a guy like Scott annoyed at you and labeling that as the worst performance. He doesn't need to go into a team meeting and say a word after that. You know how to get to work and get it done.
Yeah, genuinely, like I said in the Blue Abroad group today, do you know what I mean? Like, we won. Like, just enjoy the win. I don't need Chris Scott to tell me we were better than them yesterday. I have eyes. I know we were better. The final game, Hawthorn Eagles. I didn't feel like I learned anything about either side. I felt like Hawks do what Hawks do, cruise, and Eagles do what Eagles do, show 20 minutes of Eagles fight and desire and heart, and then piss off waiting for the game to finish so they can go down the pub.
Yeah, I didn't learn anything, I guess, with that game. I was weirdly, when Hawthorn don't really show a lot, and that's a game, clearly they don't really have to put in more effort than they did. As you said, cruising to it. But you kind of hope West Coast can show a bit more and realize that, hey, this Hawthorn team aren't obliterating us. We're a chance then. Maybe they're off by 1 or 2% mentally, thinking this is easy. We can get them here. They don't have it. They're in a world of hurt. Don't know when they're getting out of it anytime soon with their list aging. I think it's only going to get worse. To players leave through that. I don't know. That have then gone older, to bring in guys with experience to potentially teach the kids that are McWalter's guys, but they haven't brought enough young players for them to teach. It's just a weird list build. I don't know what they're up to. Not getting better anytime soon. Hawks, I kind of hoped we were going to see a bit more of like what we did in that second half against the Eagles, or more, I guess, better, what we kind of did to North Melbourne, where Hawks go, look, we lost one we wanted to win against Geelong. Let's just bounce back and kill them and show, no, we're still these Hawks, because the questions are starting to come on us a little bit. Will Day's out there and everyone's saying he's the difference between them being a premiership team and them being like average. And you're going, okay, one guy doesn't do that. If so, your list isn't built well. I think they needed a bit more of a statement there. But yeah, at the end of the day, you're cruising against West Coast. it is what it is.
I feel like Hawks have got a really good draw for the next couple of weeks. While these questions are, they've got Richmond next week, which I think will be another game like this Eagles game. The longer they don't kill them off, the more that the Richmond will believe. And then the week after, they've got Melbourne, which I think Melbourne is the most fascinating game. Because if there's one team that has the midfield power to make you stop playing, in fairness, Melbourne have got that.
Yeah, I think Hawthorn are really good. They'll probably go deep into finals. I just can't see them winning the flag without a key forward. I don't think they have one. It's the biggest list hole they have. They've got great pieces everywhere else. I think when going gets tough in a big grand final, those big final moments where you need someone to take a grab, who's doing it? I don't see that. I think other teams above them have players I trust more. So yeah, that's kind of why I think they're just sitting off the pace at the moment in a great spot in fifth. Capacity to still go higher, but yeah, they need to go bigger for longer this season.
Yeah, I agree with Gav. I feel like that forward line, if you can stop quality ball coming in, they don't have the firepower. Like, as much as people mock Hipwood, I think Hipwood's been brilliant for Brisbane this year. Like, he has stood up when they needed him to. I agree with JD. I think when Cole Shadir and Mitch Lewis are there, yeah, different story. I think they can maybe have the firepower to bring you out. But at the minute, it feels like it needs a perfect entry. And I'm going to be intrigued in the Melbourne game. The Melbourne game is going to intrigue me because I think Melbourne have the ability to stifle the ball. Can they do it then?
Yeah, I think Cole Shadir is good. He's very young. I think my unpopular opinion in the AFL is I don't rate Lewis highly at all. I think he is a solid footballer, but I don't think he should be your number one key forward if you want to win a flag.
I agree. I think Cho's the perfect number two. Oscar. I feel if you put Oscar Allen in that side, I agree with Gav.
Yes,
I might be saying flag.
Yeah, 100%. They're that away for me, unless it goes all perfect, which it can.
Well, there's the player rankings, chat.
I think it's good.
You know what is exciting, chat? Carlton, if they beat Adelaide, I can't wait to drag them in to top 8. And we've got an Essendon. We've got an Essendon fan go next week, and I can't wait to get her to move the Blues into the 8 when we win. I am looking forward to that debate.
That's exciting, Pommy. I like when my teams win.
Do you know what I mean? This is an interesting one from Michael. You know what? I've got a couple of gripes with the MRO before we move on to the next segment. Right. One, how can the AFL give 3 weeks to Paul Curtis, but then use the identical tackle Harley Reid did and call that the highlight of the week? Number two, the whole like punch in the rib thing, I feel like it's so inconsistent because in the EPL, if I punch someone, I will get a bigger ban for the red card than I would do getting a red card for tackling someone late. In the AFL, you could get less of a suspension for punching someone than you can do for actually doing a football action. It's crazy.
Been horrific for years. They don't want to address it. They do not want to fix it. Fans hate it, don't understand it. It's just the biggest farce. And for all the good the AFL has, that is the glaring hole, really, for their whole entire organization. It's unfathomable how bad it is. Adam Chera gets a week for what? For genuinely what? I've seen it 20 times and I'm like, how has anyone watched that and gone, yeah, that's a 1 week suspension? And then you compare it to all these other things and you're going, it doesn't make sense. And now I understand the head, protect it. But it was a fine tackle. Like, so many of these tackles in games are not seen as these ridiculous offenses. Like, the umpire is not going, oh, that's the worst tackle I've ever seen. Here's free kick 50, all of this. Like, that doesn't seem to happen. But because there's this concussion, all of a sudden it has to be 3 weeks. And yeah, they put themselves in a hard spot and they do nothing to get themselves out of it.
Yeah, because I watched the Paul Curtis one. And I have this way of I judge the serious of offence. So what I do is I imagine it's my kids playing in the back garden. And I imagine the severity of the dad punishment. So like the Adam Chera one, right? I literally, let's say my youngest son was Bose, Jack Bowe, and my eldest son was Chera, so the bigger body. If I saw that and they came in, the youngest son would be the one told off for completely milking something stupid. I would be like, he's waffed you away. Grow up. Like, why are you crying about it?
It's the annoying thing where he's done the right thing in the tackle I'm trying to bring you to ground vertically. Like, he's not pushing forward. His intent isn't driving you across and into the turf. Never is that his intention in the tackle. It's I'm dragging you vertically down. The issue is as soon as those knees hit at that angle, all of a sudden he sort of pops forward, and it's that contact that happens to sling him forward. But Curtis is never trying to drive him there. So I don't understand that kind of intent with it all. It just, it's infuriating.
You know, if you watch the Curtis one, what is funny, if you watch the Curtis one in slow-mo and then watch the Harley Reid one, it's almost the same fucking action. And for me, if I was North, my defense would be your highlight of the week is the identical tackle. Harley Reid bigger than Nick Watson, which is another thing you punish people for, the size difference. You're using that as highlight of the week, and you're giving my guy who's tackled a player who weighs the same and is the same height 3 weeks for the same action, but one of them's the poster boy. Like,
mate, Dangerfield left the ground, slammed Sammy Walsh's head into the turf last year, got nothing. And the biggest when you know this is all bad is when you're following poor David Zeta on Twitter to see what the arguments are for in this case. And always whoever is arguing for the AFL, it is the most ludicrous, insane. No human being on the world would think that what you're saying is the correct version of any event in the entire human history. And you're there scratching your head thinking, is that what they truly believe? Because they're arguing that. So they have to believe that is fact. That's the thing that melts my brain the most about this, is hearing the AFL's arguments for why these things are suspensions in like a absolute kangaroo court. And it just, you're scratching your head thinking he's going to get these weeks because they genuinely think that's legit.
The Chera one I find fascinating as well, because if you actually watch the slow-mo, he's not looking at the man. So there was an incident, if you remember ages ago, I think it was Rory Lobb. But if you remember, he threw a punch. Like, he actually did a full-on fist, and he hit the player here, right? But it actually caught his chin. And they defended that if you watched it in slow-mo, he uses a palm on the chest, he gets a punch back, and he's not looking, he's watching the ball, and he punches him back in the chest, and he didn't realise and the way they got out of it is they said he wasn't looking. If you watch Chera, he gets punched first, he goes back, and you can see he's going for the chest, and he hits the chest. Bowes grabs his nose. So I don't even know how that was reported, because he literally goes palm on to the chest and Bowes holds his nose. Like, it's the most... I can't believe Bowes, after literally being the most fraudulent trade in history, getting $1 million a year and getting pick 6 for him. I'd probably allow people to punch me every week.
Yeah, and like, if they want to make a statement and say, look, an action we don't like is you not looking and throwing your arm back because in this instance, you're attempting to go for the chest, but because you're not looking, you could hit anywhere, which could increase the level of danger. But they haven't ever used this as a thing that they're trying to clamp down on. So then it doesn't make sense. If they had come out before the season or 2 seasons ago and said, this action, if you're not looking and if you make contact to the head, regardless of the damage, we're calling this a suspension. But they kind of haven't done that ever. And that's the thing that us fans don't seem to understand with these decisions. And then you see other, things where there is more intended contact in other parts of the body and there is no suspension. And you're thinking, what's the difference? I don't seem to understand it.
Matt Lang wants to see it. This is the action, right? So watch this. It's absolutely hilarious. Like, honestly, Jack Bowes, if this was my kid, would probably get, look at that. Look, he's holding not even where he's being touched. That is quality. Honestly, my little son does this to his big brother all the time. Does the old pretend, right, that he's been hurt. That's literally what my boy does.
They've said any of that is to warrant a 1-week suspension? Because the contact is high, I guess, if that's one of the parts of the system. But it's as in it's like it's head high, but everything's so minimal. It's like, how is that a week?
Yeah,
it's incidental. It's not intentional.
Like, they've graded it one of the funniest things you've ever seen as well. It's a strike, intentional, low impact, high contact.
Yeah. So the issue is it's not intentional. But they will spend so much time, money, and effort on trying to grade that intentional. And there's a million other ones that they won't. It's like, why are we wasting our time here? If Collingwood Essendon supporters are looking at this saying, gee, Chera's stiff to cop a week, there you go. Show that evidence in the court, Your Honour. I rest my case. Bring in the dancing log.
It's honestly quality banter, to be fair. But, like, honestly, look, that's how I judge it. It's a very simple rule, but I always imagine if this was my kids and they came in crying and they showed me a replay, how would Daddy react? Maybe I'm a bad dad, but in this case, Jack Bowles would go to his room to think about milking punishments for your big brother. That would be my punishment. Adam would be off scot-free. Bowles would be going to his room for 20 minutes to think about, should I play up and try and get someone into trouble for something that is easily play on? I mean, just me. Maybe I'm raising thugs, but honestly, I'd just be like, grow up.
If it's not going to be given a free kick if the umpire was looking you dead in the face, it's not a week.
Mate, I'm with you. I mean, look, I genuinely, my wife will back me up here. I genuinely do that to my kids all the time. Like, you have to draw blood, to be honest, for me to actually give you a proper punishment. But that would be one. I'd be like, oh, come on. It was just a love tap, mate. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like,
you need a bit of
like I would have actually said this. Buzz, you're allowed to punch Chera back. Same pace, same veracity, and everyone's okay. Okay? Like, if it gets harder, you're in trouble. And grow up. But, chat, we've done that. You've seen that. We're now on everyone's favourite bit. So this time last week, my wonderful friend, we had this, what will be on your screen now. We had 5. Paul and Dylan, top of the table with Guess the Player. And chat, I want you to help Ian, right? I want you to help Ian like you have them other two, because I reckon them 5s are probably fraudulent because you guys helped them massively on 5. I reckon me and Ian can get 6. So what we're going to do is you're going to have a timer. You're going to have 1 minute on the screen. And this is how we play.
Pommy, that's the thing that gets me. Look, I'll probably be able to name, if I was watching this, if I was in the comments right now, I would be off the top of the head, off the top of the dome, dominating this. I'll get 20. Forget 5 as a top score. You introduce a timer, I start seeing something clock down. I shit myself more than Carlton do round one against Richmond. I am fumbling. I am struggling. So I am excited to hopefully try and get some redemption here from how I normally go as soon as I see a timer. There are little board games. As soon as they turn that thing, brain stops with thinking, Pommy.
Well, mate, you're lucky. I'm brilliant at giving clues. So how this game works is it's kind of like charades. So say someone like Charlie Kerner, I would be like, his first name is the name of the King of England. And you'd be like, Charles, Charlie. And I'd be like, his surname is my favourite player. Like, I'll help you out with clues. All I can tell you right now is it's players that are classified by Champ's data as forwards.
Oh, okay.
Right?
It's exciting.
So there may be some like mid forwards in but it's not key forwards, just generic forwards, general forwards.
Love it. Chat,
right, are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely, Pommy.
Chat, are you ready? More importantly, Damien's a gun at this, and so is Gavin. They spend too much time with me. My stupid clues help, but here we go. Right. His first name is also Silvani's first name.
Jack.
And this guy, his heart races 600 times a minute.
Oh, I got nothing here, Pommy.
Used to play Richmond, plays for Saints. His surname is... yeah, well done. Bang. Jack Higgins. Oh, Jesus. His surname is a colour that's maybe the opposite of blue, the same colour as the pause button. On your screen now, you can see the pause.
Red? Oh, green. Green.
Yeah. And his first name is the name of a jug. Plays for GWS.
Toby. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I told you, I'm horrific.
Next player, this field is not safe.
This field is not safe.
Yeah.
Oh,
and his first name is the same name as our captain.
Patrick, not safe.
It's so clever. Think. What would be the opposite of safe field?
Oh, that's good, Pommy. Yeah, Paddy Dangerfield. That's unreal.
Hey, look, that's 4, mate. So you did all right.
Oh, look, we struggled. Everyone got to witness a man genuinely shit himself on camera. So hopefully that brought some entertainment.
Mate, you did well. Yeah. Hey, look. Hey, you see, look, bunch of stuff. This was good.
Oh, you did unbelievable, Pommy. Your part of this was unreal.
Look, to be fair, we've had some good ones there. I still enjoy the fact that Marnie spent 45 seconds trying to work out the clue of Harry Sheezel, which was his surname sounds like a very famous cheese crisp snack. And she had Harry. And she had Harry, and she couldn't work it out. And then I was like, Marnie, he's Jewish. And straight away she was like, oh, Harry Sheezel. And I'm like...
I can't believe I forgot Toby Green existed in the AFL. So that's great.
Hey, well, look, you did all right. You did all right. So,
I've only got one, I'm pretty sure. You got no one else.
So,
no one
look, you go up there tied third, so you're fine. Now we have the Creators Supercoach Challenge. Dylan killed you, Leg Dog. The expert of Supercoach has been ousted in week 6. Unbelievable scenes. I have been bullying him already, but Ian, take us through the dream team.
Yeah, well, look, anyone that knows me knows I love my fantasy sports. Anyone that knows me, really, if anyone's in any draft leagues with me ever, your key to success, whoever I drop, bring in. I don't care if they have scored negative points every round. I look at who their next score that next week always dominates. It's actually upsetting how many times my scraps turn into superstars. But Now I get to choose some superstars. Hopefully this works well for me. And yes, defense, I have gone Nasaya, Wanganeen, Malera. And that basically is, mate, scores 101 against Brisbane. His 5-round average is 115.2. He is a star right now. And I've been looking at who they're coming up against, previous scores. Last time against Freo, 112. The ball's going to be down there a lot. I expect him to be getting that 115 minimum. So I think he's an absolute lock. And defenders, they're hard to pick. There's not a lot great ones right now. Tossed up a bit of a Lockie Whitfield, but you've had the fraud watch on GWS. I have the fraud watch on this man as far as a Supercoach scorer. I've been burnt so many times, so many years. I cannot do it again. So I've gone my man, Jordan Clark. I love a bit of consistency. That's him. Lowest score of 94. Averaging 106.6. Last time against the Saints went 151. Before that went 100. Now, Whitfield against Sydney was a bit worrying. You know, he's had 54 was the last score. That's horrific. So that's too inconsistent for me. Bring in Jordan Clark and get some scores. And then midfield, I've gone his man, who is also my man, Brayshaw. He's just an absolute star. Big 157. Maybe I'm chasing points, which could see me in some trouble. But third best average for a mid this season. Previous scores against the Saints, 120, a scary 70. Maybe it was injury interrupted. I'm going to hope it was. 189, 132. Saints trash. Brayshaw's going to have a big one. And then Zach Butters, who is the second highest averaging mid this year, coming off the back of a 162. Could have gone Nick Dacos. Worried about his Geelong scores previously. 89, big 129, then 91. Can he get it done against a really good Geelong team? Whereas Butters against the Dogs, mate, 159, 146, 118. Give me the chocolates right now. And then Rucks, I just got to go, my man, Max Gawn. Could have gone Cherry, could have gone De Koning, but this man scored 174, is the best ruckman at the moment. Plays West Coast. Hasn't scored well against them historically, but comes up against Flinney. You just got to back Max Gawn to get that done. And then my forwards as well. This is all just the Demons are playing West Coast, Pommy. Petrarca's now a forward, 129 against Richmond. So he's starting to come into a bit of a vein of scoring. I think he could potentially get one of the highest scores in the history of the game against this poor West Coast team. And then, yeah, I could have gone a few players with this last one. I was looking at maybe a Rankin. Honestly, Ben Keys I probably should have gone him because he kills Carlton every single time. But I've gone very safe with a Bailey Smith here, who has scored has scored well previously against the Pies, and he's just flying at the moment. And I just trust him more than Rankin. I was eyeing them up, and I backed in Bailey Smith at the start of the year in my own team. So I'm going to back him in there and hope that Carlton can do a number and that pick doesn't come back to haunt me.
Mate, I love it. I mean, you're the first one to pick Gawn all year, believe it or not.
Not in my team either, so it's a bit rogue for me. And then I looked at the historical data, and yeah, it doesn't look great against West Coast. Probably should have gone someone else, but I don't know. I see West Coast and my eyes light up.
I've got to say, that's been the biggest variation. I think Jerry's been picked twice, but outside of that, everyone's got a bit creative in that ruck row. So, and that seems to be the separator in this game. The guy who's got the right ruck in the week has absolutely killed it.
Yeah, look, it could haunt me. It could come back to haunt me. I'm very worried that a lot of these guys have just scored like the highest score of the previous week, and I don't like to be someone that is chasing points. But apart from Gawn, really, historically, these guys are big scorers against these opposition. And yeah, I think the one I'm slightly worried about is Jordan Clark, but I wanted someone I reckon I can just bank on getting that 100 at least. Whereas some of those other defenders, they've dropped down with some 70s and things like that. So we'll go the high floor, low ceiling on that pick.
Mate, I just want you to beat Lack Dog because honestly, the fact that this is his job and week 6, someone's knocked him off first place. If we can get him out of the top 5 by the end of the year, I am going to bully Lack Dog for the rest of his life.
Look,
I can't wait.
My only claim to fame, Supercoach, is a couple of years back, we did a bit of a Carlton Supercoach league of some of the content creators around the place. And look, it might have taken Lockie and myself combined to get it done, but we beat Lekdog in the grand final. And you can say asterisks all you want. It took 2 men to beat him, but we got the job done. So I'll take that to the bank any day.
But mate, that guy spends a lot of time. And then we come, right, till the end of the thing, tipping. Here you'll see the asterisks are they had to pick when there was a shortened league, when there was not full games. Lekdog does lead this, though, as everyone keeps picking 6, getting 6 right. Dylan, he went against the Mighty Blues. It cost him a chance in the top 3. In our tipping league, though, I can congratulate Vossi de Boss and Out Here Guessing, who tipped 9 out of 9 last week, which I think with some of the results last week, that is ridiculous tipping, right? Like, you need your bank accounts checking. There's no way you called some of them. But, Ian, I will ask you, I am only here as a placeholder. I've already had my turn. This is all on you. But we'll go through the games and you can give me your tips. But Bombers North, who are you picking here?
Yeah, look, historically, my footy tips have been very up and down. I normally start the season horrifically and then go for this massive run of just trying to get these right. And sometimes I've been able to come out victorious. Hopefully, this is the round that I start to come back and am good at footy tipping because, yeah, it's been a rough start to the season. But I am going the Bombers in this one. Let's play it safe to start.
You know what? For fun, I'm going to tip Marnie's North.
I don't mind it.
Because their last win, she was actually on this show and she nearly convinced me. And I only lost to Marnie in that game because I didn't believe her that North would win. But she was adamant and she nearly convinced me. So I'll back her in this week. The Saints 3-0. Ross against his old club. Fremantle have to travel. There's a lot on this game.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go and try and go for the highest score here by going rogue. Let's back in the Saints. Let's say that Freo genuinely can't win away from home. And all the heat has gone on the Saints this week. I feel like more than any other week. So, yeah, let's give it a go. See, this is not what I like here, Pommy. I don't like that it is a shit show to start. You've gone the opposite on everyone, and I am in danger.
Yeah, well, I was going to do North for a bit to be interesting, but you've made it interesting. Dogs Port, another team that can travel.
Cairns under the pump. I am not going to support them at all. Give me the Dogs.
Mate, I'm with you here, Dogs. Like, honestly, I don't even think Port are a real team, to be honest. Crows entertain Carlton. The narrative around it, Carlton just can't win in Adelaide. But they have done the last couple of times they've been in Adelaide against a side who have Riley Thilthorpe, who treated a broken finger like it was a grenade going off in his hand. This is an interesting game. Blues got injuries too, though. No Jack Silvani, potentially. He looks like he's out for 2 weeks. And Zach Williams has decided that his calves don't work.
Yeah, look, I hate that I tipped against us last week. And that hurt. I only got 7, could have got 8. I really should tip with my own team, Pommy. But I'm here to win, so I'm gonna go the Crows, unfortunately.
You know what, chat? I've done it the last couple of weeks. Right, look, since I've done this with people that hate the Blues, notice the Blues have started winning, chat. Notice that. It's not appreciated enough, right? That I gave you the stat when Pom tips Carlton, they lose 47% of the time. And I'm
excited to come on here and get the lowest possible score you could ever get. And at least there'll be some sort of record that I'll be maintaining for the season.
Yeah. So I've started tipping the Blues, and look, the Blues have gone undefeated. It's me. It's me. It's me fighting the cause.
I'm finally tipping against us and we beat Geelong. So maybe I've just got to keep tipping against us and
Mate.
it'll happen. So there's a bit of psychology in that, I think.
Mate, I love this. This is probably the tie of the round. Geelong coming off a humbling by the Blues. Pies coming off an incredible performance against Essendon and the Lions in the Gabba. Form is high. Who are you going here?
Weirdly, I mean, before this week, I would have gone the Cats easy. I think the Pies. I just feel like their movement, the way that we hurt the Cats, I feel like the Pies can do that even better with their transition play. And yeah, got some worries about a few of their players in defense at the moment. Yeah, without Brian Myers as well, he feels like such a key component to how they play.
Mate, I agree with you. I think the Pies. I've got the feeling the Pies will drop ridiculous games around the bye. Like
Absolutely.
every team goes through a losing spurt. Hey, Matt makes a great point. It is. It's the same odds.
Exactly. It's got to be something.
It's funny you say that because I played with one of my mates who just started playing golf, right? And he shot 130, right? And my like little bit of love to him was that was the worst score I've ever seen. But I did say to him that I played a practice. Yeah, no, but I said to him I played a practice round with someone who shot 57. So both of them are equally as hard to do, right? Massively impress me or have the worst score. So indirectly, you've expelled the same effort. I'll remember you forever.
Exactly. You got to be memorable somehow.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, don't worry about it. I was like, it's impressive because I'll remember you forever. Like, I'll remember this round of golf as the worst round of golf I've ever seen, as I'll remember the other guy as the best round of golf. It's a positive.
Every week it'll be like, well, surely you can't do as bad as Ian did, getting 0. The worry thing is that it can happen. We've proven it, but no one will be worse than that.
Mate, I agree. But then we come with, this is another game. I'll say this every week. This game I am 100% watching, right? Eagles, Demons. It is like literally the battle of two sides that don't know how to win.
And I would have said, I pretty much said this about Carlton in our lead up to West Coast Eagles. But if the Demons don't win, genuinely pack them up. That's enough. Get him out of the league. Give me Melbourne, please.
On the most
West Coast is so bad. I mean, I thought we were bad, and then I saw us play against them, and I was like, "Oh no, yeah, West Coast are genuinely horrific."
Yeah, I felt bad because for 2 weeks in a row, I was like, I've never seen a side as bad as the Eagles, and that includes 2018 Carlton. but then I watched North's second half versus us, and I was like, is it like a new competition to be the most disappointing sports side of all time that I didn't realize was a competition? But I agree with you. Like, if the Demons don't win this, like, don't sack Goodwin. Like, you just need to actually sack the whole club. Like
100%.
Here we are, the most irrelevant derby other than the M69 derby between Villa and Birmingham. No one cares about. Swans Giants. It's the old fraud watch versus the new fraud watch. This is a great game, though, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, you don't tend to get a lot of good Sunday games. We're actually blessed with 2 rippers here. Again, I think I'm going for the 0, so I'm going the underdog. I genuinely reckon Sydney will win at the SCG. I feel like they do it there every time against the Giants when the Giants are expected to win. Now, I mean, Sydney, they're horrific, but I don't know. There's something in the air at that SCG with them.
Genuinely, I'm with you. I after being horrible to Swans all year, I'd be a big fraud to start tipping them. So I'm telling you, I'm following you in, Ian. Like, screw them. Pants team, not a real team. If you support GWS, you genuinely need to have a word with yourself. Like, genuinely. Like, come and see Uncle Pom. I'll give you a new team. Then we come to some real intriguing ones. I'll be live for this game. Hawks, Tigers. This game is super exciting.
Could be 100 points at quarter time. Hawks will win this one.
Ooh. You know what? This is going to be an
interesting.
I'm going to follow
that highly.
No, I'm going to follow you in, but this is going to be a real intriguing one because I feel like the Tigers won't be as scared of this game as they were 4 weeks ago. Like, I think they'll be like, you know what? They're not playing good football. Maybe we can worry them a little bit. But I agree with you. I suspect I can't see Sam Mitchell coaching a side that implodes.
The Tigers have shown a lot this season, more than I expected. But no, Hawks just too good.
This is the game that genuinely, I can't believe they've got a 7:30 game on a Sunday. I don't know what has happened. But Lions Suns, this game like 10 years ago, you would have laughed at. But this genuinely, is this probably the first Queensland derby where the Suns are a chance?
I thought it just meant anything ever. Yeah, it's strange. I had to look this up just then because I was like, why are we playing so late? Yeah, it's Labor Day in Queensland. Great. They get a day off on the Monday, but everyone else has to watch this at this late on a Sunday. What are we doing? Horrific. Yeah, Suns are a good chance to win this. They win this and all of a sudden, yeah, they are a bit more of a real deal. It's so hard to tip against Brisbane. They're just such a classy outfit. I love them so much. They got so many gun players. It's a fun to watch. So yeah, I just can't go past the Lions.
Mate, I'm with you. I don't know.
That's true. So, that's fair enough. I forget that.
Am I correct in thinking then? So over Northern Territories and Queensland have the day off?
Yeah. I mean, that's fair enough. I forget. I mean, Labor Day, what is it? Why can't we all just get the same day? Seriously. What are we doing there? We've all got the same named holiday and we're all just throwing around different dates. I feel like we need to sync that up.
Wait a minute. You don't get the King's birthday off in Queensland?
I can't believe they don't get that. What holiday they have instead? Like, I know we've got Melbourne Cup and like the grand final one that no one else has.
That makes no sense. Your country is so confusing that you have like different rules in states and stuff. Like, we just don't have that back in England. Like, we all have the same bank holiday. Do you know what I mean? Like, but so weird. Like, honestly, you know what? One of my favorite things when I moved to this country, I convinced my boss that it was actually illegal for a Britain national to work the day before the Queen's birthday at the time and the day after. Right. And long story short, we had a Pom start as a golf professional like about 2 years later. And he was like, oh, look, he actually said to him, he was like, oh, you're like Danny, aren't you? Like, you can't work the Queen's birthday. Right. And because you have the birthday, don't you, from memory? Isn't it like in like something ridiculous, like May or something?
Oh, it's whenever. Yeah, it's in a month or so, I think. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, because
I got no idea. They roll around and I go, yay, day off.
yeah, because he was like, what the fuck you on about? Like, it's mid-April is Elizabeth's birthday. He was like, we don't have the day off. And he was like, he told me that it's like a national holiday in the UK. And he was like, no fucker cares. And I was like, you have ruined the biggest scam because it was like counted as like a thing. He gave me it as an extra paid day of holiday. So my entire scam was ruined because of this idiot English guy that didn't play along with it.
Yeah, no, that's horrific. I mean, all the man had to do was just quick Google and he would have found his answer. But he's backed you in, which I love, Pommy. He took you as an honest man and thought, this is a fella that he's got so much pride for his nation, he just can't work. I'm sorry. And fair enough.
Mate,
I was genuinely, I reckon paid forever. Like, that's shame on me. I'm giving you that.
Mate, I was genuinely gutted when this other Pom ruined the scam. I was like, mate, when someone says something stupid where you're getting a paid day off for free, regardless of if it's completely made up, you just naturally say yes.
It's real. Teacher goes to one kid saying, hang on a minute, we didn't have any homework due. And the kid goes, oh yeah, we had homework due, miss. And you're like, oh, come on, we almost got away with it. What are you doing?
Yeah, I was like, the guy's the biggest idiot in the world, and like, honestly, wish him nothing but misfortune, because that extra 2 days of holiday that I got on top of my pay was absolutely brilliant. Honestly, it was, and I always used to lie. The 2 years that I had it, I used to lie and be like, "Oh yeah, we had like a nice little touching service. We did some food." And like, genuinely didn't. I was playing golf and drinking beers and couldn't give a shit. Like, you know,
It'd
like,
be great if you'd like all Photoshop some pictures together of the outing and everything. That would have been unreal.
do you know what I mean? Like, fantastic. But yeah, mate, Ian, thank you for joining us. First of all, chat, you should all be subscribed, right? Because Ian is a regular on this channel, but his link is in there. Ian, what are you up to this week?
Yeah, so we'll be doing the old review preview, as we've done a few times. Basically, Lockie is so hard to get a hold of. I'm throwing him under the bus here. As long-time listeners of the pod will know, he is now situated himself over in London. So time zone's horrific for Sunday games, because we normally record on a Sunday night. Good luck. And the man decided to go to Italy for like the weekend just because he can. The man is bragging big time, which is upsetting. Which means we're recording on a Wednesday night, so it should be out Thursday morning, which will be giving all our thoughts on the Geelong game, and then obviously previewing the Adelaide game, talking about all the injury news, which might be good, getting a bit more information about what is going on. So hopefully the content doesn't age immediately after it is out. But yes, got that to look forward to around this midweek.
You know what is fascinating is I follow Lockie on Instagram, and it is sickening that like every 2 days he's in a new fucking city.
He says he's got a job. I'm confused. When is that man not traveling about somewhere? It is insane.
Yeah, every picture's him having a wine overlooking a river in some historic European. I want that job. Like, if you're Lockie's employers, call me.
Mate, like it'd be great if it turned out to be all some ruse, and it's like he went one weekend, took all these photos, and he's just been living this life for the last 6 months. He just posts them every couple of weeks to make it look like he's out somewhere, but it's not. It's all a ruse.
Mate, it might be a Ponzi scheme.
It's unbelievable. The man is living a great life.
Mate, fair play to him. Well, on the PommyInOz channel, what have you got? You've got the Footy show tomorrow, the Footy Abroad. I've forgotten what it was called. Forgotten the show that I'm on. Footy Abroad. There is something real special about tomorrow. There is a little bit of fancy dress tomorrow in my segment. There's a new game show, and there's going to be an alter ego Pom who's hosting the game show with the boys, Sweet Luke, Terry, and Jake. We've got the full review of the week that was. That's all recorded. That'll go up. And then loads of content. Make sure you stick around. We're live 3 times next week with Ian again for the selection table. And we're doing Friday night's game, Carlton's game, and the other game that I told you about. Loads of content coming up. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you next week. Cheers, guys. Bye.